Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Mail. All right, so this week we're going to be talking about the silent contract or the silent hit that often happens.
Hello and welcome to Relaxed Mail,
relationships.
Podcast that helps men change their relationships with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life
on mindset
number
coach
51
is
here to
Relaxed
help
Mail.
you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies.
Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Mail. All right, so we're going to be talking about a particular bomb that we, not just men, but and anybody in relationships often plant and then wonder why things go awry with it. And that is a thing called the silent contract. And why that is such a bad thing to do and what the harm is. And before we do this, want to thank you for actually coming across the show, listening as it's your first time. Thanks a lot for taking the time to listen. If you listen through the show and you find a piece of information that is helpful or entertaining or anything along those lines, the show is free, but I do ask for a favor. Since I've provided some type of value for you, would you please take the show and share it out? You can share the whole show or just this episode. Share them out amongst your friends, your family, your followers, social media, all that. So, and cause as you share it out, people come across it and see your posts and they get curious and they see what is happening and they start to equate the Relaxed Mail to the changes that you're making in your life. And so this helps the podcast to grow, to get a larger audience, to be able to get more engagement with the show itself. And it would just, I figure if I'm putting out, a valuable item, then the cost of that valuable item is you sharing it out. That's all I'm asking for on this particular podcast, is just to share it out with those that you know and think would find value in this show. So please share it out. All the different social media platforms these days have a share button. You can share out the show itself, or you can share out just that particular episode. And some even you can go to the point where you want them to listen and you can actually share at that timestamp. And so that's also way cool. So if you do, please tag me in it. I'd love to be able to thank you for it. And I will, we'll talk to you further on. So now let's go ahead and let's jump into the show. And with each show, we start off with, the question of the week. Now, the question of the week, if you have one, you can always submit it by going to relaxedmail.com/contact or by just sending an email at Brian with a Y at relaxedmail.com. And just ask a question and I will actually take that question, answer you, and then I will turn around and answer it on the podcast itself. This week, didn't have anybody actually submit a question. So when I don't, I jump over to Quora and answer a question there. And this one here is actually from, I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, but it says, my daughter wants to become a writer when she gets older. What does she need to do to improve her chances of being published? And replied, first off, awesome that you are actually recognizing your daughter's passion. A lot of times we see creative passions being pursued, and as parents want to try to protect our kids from being disappointed by doing something that is creative, because we see there's always the phrase, the starving artist, these things are not, a lot of times the creative paths are often seen as not being very financially well off. And that can be the case because a lot of times people who are very creative don't go out and sell their wares in a way so that they are actually able to provide for the family and be able to generate wealth. And people, I think it was Picasso who was supposedly, was broke all the way up to after he died. And then people discovered him and he became very popular and the person and the man that he is these days. So to recognize and support your daughter in becoming a writer is actually way, way cool. I didn't realize that I liked writing until after the internet came along, because every time I would write a paper, in English class, it came back, looking like something, it was found at a murder scene. It was just all covered in red, and I figured, I'm just not a good writer. And I told myself that and believed that line for a long time. But it's cool to find out that, a lot of people think when they hear, I want to be a writer, they're thinking, oh, well, you want to write the next great American novel, right? No, that's not necessarily it. It depends. There's lots of different writers. There's technical writers. There's, journalists. There are, bloggers. I use my writing for, whether it be, you consider it good or bad is completely up to you, but you can go over to relaxmail.com and I've got, I think about 300, different articles, over 300. Let's double check here. Doing this live. This is always good, huh? So, anyhow, I've got, a slow internet connection, and I've got 325 articles posted. Some of them are back before Relaxed Mail became what it is today. So, I mean, you see some not off topic stuff, and I'm slowly actually going through there and weeding those out and taking them off just so that I can become more focused. This blog, this site can become more focused on to what I'm actually wanting it to be. With writing, I mean, especially with your daughter, I mean, you never know what she may become. She may be a go into writing and find out, I don't like writing, but I really love editing. I love the process of after everything is hashed out. And so she may become an editor, but she may stick to being a writer, and she may become a novelist and may become the next Stephen King or Robert Ludlum. Or then again, she may never write a novel and just be happy as a clam writing blog posts, or maybe she likes the tactile feel of typing on a typewriter, or just writing things longhand on in a notebook. If you want to help your daughter become a better writer, one of the things you can do is help encourage her to keep a journal and to just write and listen to books. Your vocabulary grows the more you listen to books and read books and come to understand things about how to draw with words so that people can see the world that you're putting them in. But again, the daughter may get into some other fields. Maybe she gets into technology and starts actually blogging about things like IoT, and so she may become like a blogger that I follow, Stacey Higginbotham. She does the Stacey on IoT blog and podcast, and she talks about all things IoT, which I find really interesting and cool. And she talks a bit about privacy and, things to look out for in the states of that. And so, yeah, there are well-known women who write and are very successful at their writing. But you never know about what's going to happen, where she's going to be, what her journey of exploration lands her. So it's always good to encourage her and support her. And the ways you can support her is not just, forcing her to, hey, did you write 200 words today? Don't tell her how to write. Just show interest. And that is the gas in the tank that helps her to go. Ask if you can read her stories, and then praise her for those, what she's trying to do. So the biggest thing, number one, is just show interest. She wants you to be, all girls and all boys want their dads to be proud of them and to show interest in what they do. And if you're showing interest in her writings, that encourages her to keep writing, to keep pursuing that passion. Now, somewhere down the road, she may decide, never mind. I don't like writing, but I like to do something else. And you can just very easily fall into what other passion she happens to have. I don't know how old this person's daughter is, but another way you can help her is to take her to conferences. Now, I know the Wuhan flu actually has really killed the conference industry this year, and by the looks of it, next year's pretty much going to be toast in the conference world also. But there are virtual conferences, and those aren't quite as cool as actual going to someplace and spending a week or a weekend, whatever it happens to be, at an actual physical conference. The networking and finding other mentors there's a lot of different advantages to actually taking a person, or even you attending a conference in the field that you are interested in. So you can also take her to conferences. Yeah, they're not cheap, but if it is worth it and you think she's definitely going to gain something from there, then take her. And the last one for her, for being a writer, get her a blog with her own domain name on there. Instead of doing, I see so many people who do, thiswonderfullife.wordpress.com. Okay. It works. It's a good beginners, but it's not going to give you that same incentive if you are having to fork over hosting fees and make sure your domain name stays registered and all that is entailed to the website. Yeah, there's some technical aspect that you have to be able to understand, or she can learn to be able to keep her blog post up and running. But having a blog gives her own personal domain where she can write what she wants. She can voice whatever she wants to. And actually, I recommend parents get their kids a personal domain so that they can make it the world according to that child. That way, as people do searches for them online, they're not just being bombarded by all the stupid stuff they did in high school through social media. They're also able to see, hey, this guy, he did some stupid stuff when he was in high school, but now he's writing about the intricacies of duck hunting. There's all sorts of topics, an innumerable topic, that is available for this, when you put your work up online. There's a lot of different advantages for it. So with that, I'll go ahead and close it up. I forgot to mention this beforehand, but, the question of the week is actually brought to you by the Brotherhood of Men. Now, the Brotherhood of Men is a men's group that I've put together that allows for you to actually start becoming the best man you possibly can. Or maybe you've already started taking steps to the journey and you're wanting to find a way to be able to lower that learning curve, figure out why you are getting stuck on particular obstacles that are in your way. Well, the men's group is a group that is a little bit of group coaching, but also got a good healthy helping of using the mastermind principles. So it's not just me that's going to be giving you information, help, and suggestions, but it's everybody else in the group who will actually sit down and go, dude, this is a good way to look at this. Or you're looking at how your daughter's writing is good in a completely different, wrong way. Try looking at this way. And so you have everybody come together and we lift each other up. We are all completely vested in each other's success. So whether you're wanting to try to write your own novel, write your own book, or you're wanting to just lose weight, or maybe you're tired of not being there for your kids and you want to try to start your own business, all these different little adventures and tasks that we have can be helped when you're in the Brotherhood of Men. We all lift each other up. Rising tide lifts all boats. As each of us become better in our journey, you also reap the benefits of that success. And so if you are interested in joining up with the Brotherhood of Men, I encourage you to go over to relaxedmale.com/brotherhood. And there you will be able to fill out read what it's all about and fill out a form down at the bottom. And from there, I would be getting in contact to you, and we'll talk about it and see how well of a good fit you are for the group. So now let's go ahead and transition on over to the main topic. And the main topic is the silent contract. The silent contract. I'm sure you've had this either done to you or you've done something like this yourself. This is where you do something and wait for the other person to get the hint that you've done this. You lie in wait. Say you don't take out the trash. You're waiting for your spouse to take the trash out, to get fed up enough to where they take the trash out because you're tired of doing all the trash, or maybe you're tired of doing all the laundry and you want your wife to start doing the laundry. Maybe you're always filling the dishwasher up and you want the other person to start emptying the dishwasher. Whatever the instance is, we want to set up these little silent contracts. And that's a big problem with the relationship, because what that actually is saying is that, I want something to be done and I'm not going to tell you about it. So you're already setting the person up for failure. You may have had this happen. Not saying that women do this more than men, but a good example of this is when your wife goes into town, she gets her hair taken care of, gets it all styled and is looking to the nines. And she comes in and maybe she gets it colored and you come in, hey, honey, mom, kiss her and set all your stuff down. And you're sitting there kind of unwinding. And later on that night, she goes, you didn't say anything about my hair. Being a guy, we know, especially after being married for a couple of years, we realize if you happen to say something about the hair, we always seem to drop the ball. It's a small detail that us guys ourselves don't always pick up on. But there are guys who are very good at that. And if you can make it a habit to where if you look at her eyes and hair and makeup, or comment on when you walk through the living room and it's spotless and it's been dusted and the family of spiders in the corner have been evicted. Go take it's good for us to go ahead and take the minute to comment on it. But that whole you didn't say anything is actually an example of a silent contract. Another time, a lot of couples, one side or the other will often do this, is maybe you are frustrated with the lack of sex in your life. You keep trying and your wife keeps rebuffing you. So stop it, quit it. You're being annoying. Whatever it is, she keeps telling you no matter what you try to do. You're in the mood. She's not. You burn hot. She doesn't. And because of that, you start to, you develop a bit of a victim mindset with it. And so eventually you go, you know what? Fine. She doesn't want to have sex. I'm not going to initiate it anymore. Well, you're hurting yourself as much as you're hurting her. And yes, you're hurting each other, because what you're doing is you're setting her up for failure. She doesn't know that you're made this declaration to yourself that you're not going to initiate sex anymore. You're not going to make any moves on her anymore. You're just going to be there and just sit and wait. And as you sit there and wait, your victim mindset gets stronger and stronger. And bigger because all of a sudden you've taken your power and your ability to initiate sex and you've thrown it all onto her without her even knowing that she now is holding the proverbial football. And when she doesn't initiate, maybe she's had a hysterectomy, so she doesn't have a sex drive anymore. That's when it's kind of like us guys and women's hair. It's just, if there's not a drive there, we're not going to have we're not going to notice. But if your wife or your girlfriend is still very much healthy, still has everything intact, there's a good chance that, there's maybe some other stuff going on. And so she doesn't have as high of a sex drive as what you do. But then all of a sudden you cut everything off and you're not making advances to her. You're staying on your side of the bed and you go kiss her goodnight and then you go to sleep, and she's going to start noticing that, well, he doesn't make any moves anymore. Why is that? And she's going to start wondering what's going on with you, and she's going to start worrying. It's not that, and the effects of it are not going to be the, oh, well, he hasn't asked her in a while, I better do something, or he's going to cheat, because real men don't. But she's going to start wondering, well, what's going on? Why is he not showing interest in me anymore? She's going to wonder, do you have somebody on the side that you're going to? Are you, what's going on? And the wonder is going to create fear, and the fear breaks down the trust. And so you break down your relationship because you have lobbed this nuclear football over to your spouse and didn't bother to tell her what it is and why you're giving it to her. And so you start breaking stuff down. The things start to break down. So having a problem, if you realize you're trying to give a silent contract over to your spouse or your son or your daughter or whatever, maybe you have done something where they're actually supposed to clean the room, but you've hidden, maybe you have decided that you're going to take them out on a camping trip because if they when they clean the room, but you fail to tell them that they need to clean the room to go on the camping trip. Well, they're not going to clean the room because they don't know that there's a reward at the end. So there's a lot of times that we actually will set up these silent contracts and fail to tell the other person about it. If you want people to do something, you have to actually let them know. You actually have to start voicing the expectation, voicing what you're wanting done. To just sit there and sit on your hands and do something and wait for the other person to do something is not ever going to go to your satisfaction because they don't know what you want. Once you tell them what you want, they can understand. Now they can choose to not do that. Maybe you have an expectation of, I want to have sex twice a week. Well, there's a good chance your wife's going to laugh at you a little bit and go, yeah, buddy. No, we'll do it. We'll once a week, we'll hold it at that. And that's, there's other things. You have conversations about that. You can have a meaningful discussion, and the benefits of having that discussion actually will cause your wife to become closer to you. So to sit down and to come to understand why your libido is so much higher than hers, or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe hers is, screaming off the charts, and you're just you've got so much stuff on your mind that you have next to none. And so to have that conversation and let her know this is really why things aren't jamming as much, is because I've got, 5 projects I'm stressed out about. I've got these things that I'm worrying about, and I've got the car seems to have a weird knocking noise that I can't figure out where it's coming from. And I'm afraid the engine's going out. And then I've got this trip that I've got to go on next week that I don't know if you've got all these worries and all that stress, but you're not communicating those worries and stress with your spouse. There's that lack of communication allows for is the light in your life would be a good way to say it. That talking allows for the light in your life to shine so that the darkness of fear has no place to hide. And so like the roots of a plant, the more sunshine it gets, the stronger the roots become. And the stronger the roots become, the more it can withstand. If there is some type of something that is unwanted happens to hit against it. So sit down and talk. Don't try to have a silent contract with your spouse, because it doesn't work at all. It's not going to help you in any way. It's not going to help them. It's not going to prove you right or them wrong. It's not going to prove any of that, other than it's going to prove that you don't have the means to actually communicate. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap it up. Guys, I thank you for listening. If you have made it all the way to the end of the show, man, I appreciate it greatly. I would, if you are first time listening and you would like to start getting these shows delivered to your phone automatically each week as they come out, then please you can go to relaxedmail.com/subscribe. And I've got all the different ways that you can subscribe to the show. If you're listening to the first time listener on this, on here, and you're through a podcast app and you want to get them, then go ahead and go to the podcast app of your choice, look up the Relaxed Mail and hit subscribe, and I'll start coming in. If you like an easier way where you don't have to go through and try to search, and maybe there's the relaxed musician and the relaxed fisherman and the relaxed hunter and the relaxed maybe you come across a whole bunch of different relaxed shows and you want to be able to just jump over to it. You can go to relaxedmail.com/subscribe, and I have a list of all of some of the more popular podcatching apps that are out there, from Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Overcast, Undercast, Castro, Hypercast. I've got some that are obscure, some of the more well-known ones, and I even have a link for you if you're on Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, thanks for listening. I'll let you know though, there are better apps out there that allow you to be able to listen without all the darn commercials in there. So guys, thanks again for listening. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you next Thursday. And next Thursday is going to be a special one, just because this is the 52nd episode. That means I've been putting these out for a week, every week for a year. Ooh, that is going to be cool. Not sure exactly what we're going to do. Maybe just kind of do a overview, or I don't know. I'm playing with ideas. So anyhow, guys, y'all take care. We will talk to you next week. So till then, bye.